Hello and welcome to another video from me, Rough Swordsman, Wargamer. It's an open the box and it's an unboxing of the brand new game from Thomas Van Hare and Historic Wings, and it is Speed Kings, air racing in the 1930s. So, what's all this about? Speed Kings is a solitaire or multiplayer board game, war game about air racing in the 1930s, featuring the classic planes of the era such as the GBR series, the Hoare Springfield Bulldog, and the Wendell Williams Model 44, among others. Race pilots include the most famous names of the time, such as Roscoe Turner, Billy Ong, Jimmy Doolittle, Pancho Barnes, Eleanor Smith, and Ruth Nichols. Designed by Thomas Van Hare, Speed Kings is ideal for family play and brings back the wild experience of flying the pylons and straights at 6 race circuits that defined the 1930 to 1932 season. Assemble your race team, recruit your pilots, and select your best racing planes. You will face intense challenges and many critical decisions as you maximize your airspeed. Take the lead and win. I don't trust that little GB monster. It was fast, but it was like balancing a pencil or an ice cream cone on the tip of your finger. You couldn't let your hand come off the control stick for even 1 instant. And that's the famous Jimmy Doolittle. Complexity 4 out of 10. Age range 14 plus. Number of players 1 to 9. Time to play 30 to 120 minutes. And as it says here, the contents was printed by Blue Panther under license. Now, I've done a few of these unboxings from Historic Wings, and you have to have the rules. And the idea of the box is so all the counters and cards and other bits and pieces you need, maps and the like, are included in the box, so you don't have to do a bit of arts and crafts and print them out. But as you'll see, this one's a little different. So let's open the box. Before we open the box, I just want to make a comment about the box cover illustration. This is a painting by Charles Havel, aviation artist, and really adds to the flavor of the game. Right. Box is a thin one as per normal with these games. So, look at this. We've got a set of rules in the box and it's spiral bound. Let's have a look at those. Here are the rules. They are 36 pages, and there's a cheeky photo of Thomas there. But the rules, I think, are only about 7 pages long. The rest is full of fantastic information and background work that Thomas has done putting together the game. So we've got table of contents, introduction, all other bits and pieces here, appreciating the customers, about the game, the race circuits, the race teams, race planes that you've got, the pilots. Great to see some female pilots there, and definitions. And the dice uses 6-siders, but he does say 3 6-sided dice per race plane ensures a completely seamless experience. We've all got D6s. And how to set the game up. Now, I have played this at PunchCon convention over here in the UK in May, and I played it with the Blue Tweezers and the designer of Fields of Fire Volume 3, Colin Parsons, with Thomas trying to keep order and be a referee. It's an easy enough game. It's great fun. It's like whist on steroids. So it's a great family and friends game. It's a beer and pretzel game, if you like. I'm not sure I like that term. Or a great convention game like we played it. So how to set that up? The amount of speed cards you get, which is like your hand, depends on how many pylons and straights are on the race circuit, how many planes you're using, and all that. So you do a little bit of maths. That tells you how many cards each player gets. So you get a race plane and a pilot, normally 2 race planes per player. Well, that's what we used. How to set it up, and then the rules themselves, as I say, about six and a bit. So how to use the speed cards, and we'll see those in a minute. There are 4 types: turn, power, moxie, and pilotage. So each race plane hand, the player controlling them places a card face down, and once everybody's placed them down, you turn them face up, and then you determine this airspeed. And this is how you win the hand. So to determine airspeed, once you've turned the card over, you have a look how many available chits that race plane has at the start of the leg. So if you're lined up behind a pylon, it says here you're going to turn. So you add the number of turn chits that race plane has got and add it to the value of the speed card. You can just stick a die on there. If it's a straight, you're going to add the power chits that plane has got. And that's its airspeed. I think there's something else you can do to the airspeed with the chits on the pilot and the plane, but we get to that, I think, in a moment. How to resolve the positions when you've done that, addressing ties. There we are. And then, yes, applying skill or attribute chits. If I remember rightly, you can only apply one of either skill, being a pilot skill, or an attribute chit. And you can only place the one the speed card says. So if it's a pilotage speed card, you can only apply piloted skill chit. For that, you place the chit on that speed card, roll a die, and you add that amount to the airspeed. However, if you roll a 1, I think it still applies to your airspeed, but you have to do a reliability check or skill check, depending on what type of chit that was. I think I got that right. And how to do those? These are values listed on the racing planes and the pilots. We'll see that when we look at the cards. Catastrophic failures. Oh dear. You get a 12, I think. Yeah, 12. That's not nice. How to end a lap and the victory points per lap and the victory points at the end of the air race. This is interesting. We didn't use those, of course, because it's solitaire gameplay rules, but handy to have. And then the campaign rules, I think, where you can play through all the air races, how to score that, and optional rules. And we've got some of these coming up, optional rules for wargaming. So we'll see that later on in the rule book. And then we've got an example of play, which is great. I go through a whole lap, I think. And then at the end here, we've got tips on how to manage the speed cards. Do you use all your high values right at the beginning to get a good lead, or save them for the end of the race? Now, if you've worked out the little maths thing about the amount of speed cards you get, by the end of the race, you'll have a card left over which you can discard before you get a new hand. So if you've got a rubbishy card, you might be able to keep it to the end and then discard it. That's it. That's the rules. Then the racing history. Dangers of air racing, many, I would think, and some of the pilots. So nice bit of background. There's Pancho Barnes, about her, what it was like to race. Frightening, I suspect. And then we've got the game assets. But you don't need to worry about those if you've got the box set, because this is what you would print out if you just bought the rules. And there are the planes. And then Air Pirates and Miscellaneous. War game rules. You can shoot at each other as you try and race around the circuit, and you've got the loadouts for each of the types of weaponry. Some game lore about wargaming in Speed Kings. Here's an excerpt from a new book, Air Pirates. That's probably Thomas. Some videos on YouTube that show you some 1930s racing, some game design notes, and there he is, and a little bit about Thomas at the end. There we are. Them's a quick look through the rules. Next up, we've got the speed cards in these little plastic bags. So let's have a look at those. Here's the first pack, if you like. You're going to shuffle both packs up into one large deck, but we've got the pilotage part here. And look at those pictures. They're great, aren't they? Oh, dear. Some of those. And we've got Moxie, which you'll be familiar with if you've played some of Thomas's other games. Again, great pictures. And here's the other half of the pack with power. Again, with great pictures. Look at that one. And, oh dear. Turn. So, depending on what card you play, determines which chit you can put on top of these, in addition to either the power total of chits you've got or the turn total of chits you've got. But as you'll see, all the chits are finite. Once they've gone from your race plane or pilot, that's it, they've gone. Next up, we've got the pilots. So let's have a look at those. Here they are. There's Joe Mackey, William Ong, Pancho, Jimmy Doolittle, William Ong. And as you can see, the actual photos, and here are the sort of skills of the pilots. So this will have 3 pilotage markers on there, or chits, and 3 Moxie. And if you play a pilotage or Moxie card, I believe you can use one of them to throw a D6 and add that to your airspeed. Oh, Jimmy Wendell. So they're all there. That's the pilots. And finally, we have the race planes themselves. Here they are. We've got the Hall Springfield Bulldog. You place your pilot here, and at the start of the race, you put 2 turn markers on there, 4 power. So when you're on a straight, and you've still got your 4 chits, that's what you add to your airspeed, and you use that when you're up against a pylon for your turn value. The Laird LCDW 300 solution. The Howard DGA4 mic. They just look powerful, don't they, with their big engines? Oh, there's the GB. Great power, but can't turn for toffees. Wendell Williams Model 44. I think there's 2 of those with different, paint schemes. There's another GB, even more powerful. Look at the size of that. But again, doesn't turn on a sixpence. There's another one, R1, R2, R1, R2. And another Wendell Williams Model 44. There we are. That's all the cards. Next up, a couple of sheets of counters. Here's the first one, and it's the usual Blue Panther, very thick, like MDF laser cut counters. Just punch them out. Here are all the chits or counters you put on the aircraft or pilot cards. So turn, power, moxie, and pilotage. And the other side's the same. But it does say counter sheet B back, but don't panic. I think it's just a misprint. These, as I said, counters are the same on both sides. So there we are. That's sheet 1. And here's the second sheet. We've got the aircraft. We've got the little standees to put the aircraft in. The direction arrows you can put on the racetrack to show you which way round you've got to go. Here are the pylons, which just clip together. And these are to do with the fighting, wargaming part of the game. And the other side, these are different on the other side. There we are, that's the counters. Lastly, we've got 3 single-sided player aids. Here's the first one, showing you how to set up all the different race circuits. A nice, handy sequence of play, quick reference sheet. And a nice player aid summarizing all important information. The race circuits, the plane attributes, and the pilot skills, and the weapon loads, if you want to do that shoot 'em up version of the game. But that's it. That's everything in the box. So this has been an Open the Box, an unboxing of Historic Wings, brand new game designed by Thomas Van Hare. Speed Kings, and all the printing and that done by Blue Panther. And this is another way for you to enjoy the game. You can either just buy the rule book and print out the stuff yourself, or for the first time, buy the boxed edition and get the rules included with spiral bound. Sweetness. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. You found it interesting. If you did, and you haven't done so already, it would be great if you could do old Ruff a favor by considering to subscribe. It really does help. The other thing that helps a lot is if you push the thumbs up, the like button underneath the video, tickles the algorithm. And if you want to be informed of other content the channel uploads, then make sure you push the bell and make sure you push all notifications. As always, I encourage you to leave a comment. As I said earlier, I've played this game at PunchCon in May, and we had great fun playing it. Quite rowdy. But there we are. But let me know what you think, because I love to read them. Thanks as always to my subscribers. You do me proud. And just before I go, as always, a quick reminder that if you wish to support the channel a little bit further, you can. You can buy the channel a coffee, and there's a link for that in the description below. And if you decide to do that, the channel thanks you, helps with bits and pieces. Right, that's another video done and dusted, but I hope you can join me for the next one. So until then, as always, you take care and goodbye.